an army. We heard chants, globalize the Intifada, chanted by many. There have been so many anti-Semitic attacks here in Australia. So, I mean, no wonder people are not surprised. Can I get your thoughts?
Yeah, look, Gabriella, you know that this is certainly personal for me, not just because it was the Jewish community, but it was the Australian Jewish community. And you know, I spend a lot of time in Australia, on the air in Australia, physically there. I come once or twice a year. I spend time with that community. I know that community. Obviously, the whole thing is horrific. And yeah, I mean, those scenes you just showed us, I mean, they've been replayed over and over again, even before these attacks and certainly after these attacks. And I mean, Australian anti-Semitism is out of control. And I don't like saying that. I don't like hyperbole in general. And when people say like anti-Semitism is out of control here in the US, I usually push back. I go, look, it's up for sure. The data shows that. Is it out of control? Absolutely not. Australia, you can rightly say that it is. Just so we're clear in terms of numbers and data sets. There have been over 1,600 anti-Semitic attacks in 2024, okay? And to give you a sense of scale, that is 10 times per capita on the attacks in Australia to Australian Jews as opposed to the US on US-based Jews. 10x. That's an epidemic. That is a significant problem. I know I go to synagogues there. There's not a synagogue in Australia that doesn't have significant amount of security, okay? And this is all within the permission structures at the left and the allies of Muslim extremists have created. You know, I can't stand whenever people push back and say, this is not an Islamic radical problem. It's not an Islamic problem, right? It's only 1/100th of 1/10% of people who commit terrorist attacks. You're such an idiot to use those numbers, okay? It's not about the people who commit the attacks themselves. Obviously, that's a problem. But it's about the allowance of this behavior around the world, okay? That's the issue. And that when you know, just the day after this attack, I was watching CNN, and there was a commercial came on for Doctors Without Borders. And in this commercial, they talk about hospitals being blown up by the Jews. They talk about genocide committed by the Jews. This is the day after they are broadcasting this commercial. That's a permission structure. I'm sorry. I know Doctors Without Borders is not promoting terrorist attacks, but they are, because that's what allows these extremists the room to breathe and to grow and to breed. And when you call for genocide, when you say that Israel's committing genocide, what do you think the logical consequence of that is? Okay? I mean, I'm against genocide. I would do nearly anything I could within my power to stop genocide from happening. Well, that's what's happening here.
It's interesting you're making the comparison between Australia and America, because you look at America and how anti-Semitism has been significantly reduced under the Trump administration. I mean, look at Donald Trump and the way he was able to stamp it out at universities by withholding funding. Yet here in Australia, anti-Semitism, as you say, has been escalating out of control. And there are right now calls for Anthony Albanese to resign after what has happened. I mean, imagine if he was running a company, he would be absolutely out the door. Now, you also made the point about radical Islamism. Our Prime Minister is very reluctant to talk about that, yet he is fine to call out right-wing extremism. These are his comments just days after this terror attack.
We take ASIO's advice very seriously. We work closely with them. We receive regular updates as well. The Director General of ASIO has warned about a range of threats, be it anti-Semitism, the rise of right-wing extremist groups as well. And we continue to work closely with our security agencies.
The rise of right-wing extremism, that is what he had to say.
Yeah, it's incredible to me. It really is. This is look, not to get involved in Australian politics, right? But
you're welcome
to. Terrible government. Yeah, okay, then here I go, across the board. I'm not just about it, you know, anti-Semitism and their lack of ability to stop it. Look, Penny Wong, your foreign minister. She, as I'm sure you guys have talked about. We certainly talked about it on your show before. She went to Israel, refused to visit the site of October 7th. If he's gonna leave, if he's gonna be thrown out, it shouldn't just be about the rise in anti-Semitism. But I saw the way your police are trained. Okay, in real time, the whole world saw your police officers cowering in fear as Jews are being slaughtered in one of the most popular places in all of Australia. As they sat there for 20 minutes as this killing went on, and they just sat there, and they took another courageous Muslim man. He had taken it upon himself to go tackle that guy. And by the way, we also saw how he wouldn't shoot the guy. I don't know if he couldn't use the weapon, but I think something that probably ran through his mind that if he shot the guy, he might have been prosecuted.